Today, this is the example that I would like to discuss with you. This is a project from last year. So we will go through this document. I will also post this document. It was done by 2 students. It was a good project. It was a good prototype. Last year, this is the table of contents. Last year, we did students were not required to include PIDM design for a number of reasons. Sorry. So they were only asked to include CIDM and LIDM. And then they introduce some scenarios, and then they provide design in the small, and then they also included database design. You do not have to follow this exact structure. You can design your own structure as far as it follows the specification that are given in the project specification. In this case, students decided to create, because this student delivered their project at the end of the course. Last year, I did not offer the possibility to deliver in itinerary. So they deliver everything after including their prototype. So they were able to include some real screenshots of their final application. And that is a possibility if you deliver everything in one shot at an exam official date. If you deliver an itinerary, so during the course, you can provide the design in the small and not real screenshot because you haven't implemented your prototype yet. And you can provide realistic content. You can provide a tentative layout, a wireframe with tentative content, as I explained in the previous lessons. So don't use this document as an exact reference. So for each, they have identified number of pages, and for each page, they have defined the page structure and the screenshot, and then they have reported the entity relationship diagram and the tables, so the logical design, the table for the content. So they have to make a short abstract that summarizes what this document is about. And well, as you notice, their name and student ID are in the footer. So the project last year was about an e-shopping website about books. So it was an online bookstore. The specifications were very simple, and the students were asked to describe a website in which you have books, information about books, authors, events. They were also asked to specify at least these groups: all books, books by genre, books by theme. And so you have a multiple group, or group by a given genre, all book by a given theme, and then the higher level group, all groups for all genders, all group for all themes. Then you have all groups, all authors, all events, and the events are also organized in 3 subgroups. So you have all events, latest events, all events of a given month. And then they have a number of topics. They have decided to split to a mini single topic instead of have a number of bigger topics. So they said, we want to have a section, some content about the facts, the presentation of the bookstore, about the gift cards, about the terms and conditions for selling and delivering, and how to contact them. So that was their translation of the general specification, textual specification that they had received, that were in the same style as the one that you have received. And then they created the LIDM schema, basically splitting some elements, such as book, into 3 dialogue act: details, review, and interview. They didn't split anything about the author, and they decided to split the event into detail, location, and description. And they also didn't split any of the topic in further pieces. So moving, they didn't have to report the PIDM schema, and so they moved directly to the design. They decided to introduce the scenarios before, because they had already the application, so for them it was easier. So they defined 3 scenarios. The scenario is described through a narrative in which still the main component of the scenarios are here. Who are the users, the parents in this case, and the goal is to give their son a book on his favorite author, and then they describe the general tasks, and then they articulate these tasks through a number of screenshots in which, as you can see, they highlight each individual interaction elements that the user activates or selects in order to proceed to the next step. So they log in, they log in, sorry, and then they select the author, and then they go to the author, and then see the detail of the author, and so on and so forth. In this specific project, students have decided to represent the scenario for a mobile website, a website for mobile phone. Last year, we emphasized the issue of responsiveness, so having the same website available for the desktop version, for the desktop device, and for the mobile device. You are not forced to have this multiple delivery this year. So you can, so as I think I noticed, no, I didn't. So basically I expect that instead of a screenshot or representation for the mobile device, you have it as regular page for a desktop environment. Okay, so this is how they represented their scenarios step by step in scenario 1, scenario 2, and scenario 3. So you see that it's very clear how the interaction flow unfolds. And then they moved to the description of the design in the small. So design in page design in the small. Page design in the small. They started from the home page. Now we will go page by page, highlighting the good and bad of each page. So what is right and what is wrong and should be corrected. Let me just check if there is any question at this point. Can you please zoom when you are explaining the block? Yes, thank you for the comment. Okay, I will zoom, you're right. Okay. Okay, remember you're asked to describe the abstract structure, the very simplified structure of a page with all its components. So this is the design of the home page. Okay, remember we have, I go up again to the LIDM schema, so you can have an idea of what we have to represent. Here it is. Okay, this is our LIDM zoomed, so it's clear for you to see what it is about. Okay. Okay. So they started, in this case, to report the pages from the home page, which is not necessarily a good choice, but I will follow this document. A good choice in the sense that when you start designing the home page at the beginning, you are very prone to error, as you will see now. Okay, they have in this structure, they have landmarks for, well, this is the title of their website. They put a landmark to home. Well, maybe you can, instead of, you can have a bookstore as home, but it's okay. They have books, author events, and then they have also introduced some functional feature in the website, such as login, register, and create your shopping cart. But the way what they did here, to facilitate me in the exploration of their prototype, they linked each of these items to the corresponding page of their website. But again, because they had already delivered their prototype. And then here, let's see what they have. They have, let's say, big images carousel, our services, bestseller carousel, feature author carousel, latest event carousel. And here we start with the first mistake. When you want to, when they said, okay, I assume in the home page that the user want to see a list of large images, and they call it transition link. Well, this is not a transition link. And by the way, as you will see in a minute, it's not consistent with the actual screenshot. This is more a sort of interaction in the small that you have in feature that you have introduced in the home page. Remember what I said, that the home page is basically a place where you can introduce all the wow effect that you want. So the design in the small of the home page is outside the scope of IDM, but you and you should explain, and in some cases you cannot explain it using IDM concept, but for sure this is not a transition link, because it's not something that brings you to something else, to a different cognitive context or to a different kind of topic. Transition link is something which is which is the reification of a relevant relationship. Same here. These are not transition link, and again it's consistent with the screenshot because we do not understand what is event here. So just say, in this case, just say, okay, if you want to add some specific link to some specific topics in the home page, single topics, you just say links to specific topics. Well, when you go to this bestseller carousel, is basically a link to the image, to a book, and what they put here is that they wanted to, the preview of the link placeholder is represented by a thumbnail image of the book, and this is okay. But this, again, is not a transition link. It is a group link because I'm going to, in a sense, this is the introductory dialogue act for a set of books that are their bestseller. So there are two mistakes here. This is not a transition link. And also, if you go up to the LIDM schema, you see that there is no link, no group defined here, which is our bestseller. So so the pages should reflect your LIDM. So what is specified here should appear in the page, and the other way around. So everything which appears in the page must be specified in LIDM, with the exception of some elements, some interaction elements in the home page, and with the exception of the interaction element that support user operation or transaction. So we don't have any bestseller group here, and therefore here we should not have any bestseller section. I mean, if you can have a bestseller section, but then you have to define the group bestseller, and here you have to say, okay, we have embedded the introductory act for the bestseller here. So, and in any case, since you are linking to elements of a group, even though the group was not defined in LIDM, these are not transition links. So you have two mistakes here. These are not transition links, but they are groups links. And the definition of this group is not consistent with the LIDM specification. In addition, they say transition link, which should be, again, a group link to author. So from the home page, they want to go directly to the book and to the author. This means that what the designer had in mind is that they wanted to have a group in which they aggregate couples made of book and the author. So they have in mind a group made of authors and books, made of pairs, and this should be, again, specified in LIDM. Also, transition link to title and price is probably this error is clearly a mistake. Okay, same comment here. These are not transition link. They have a group of featured authors, and these are group links. They have embedded in the home page. They have embedded, according to this design, they have embedded the introductory act. They don't have a separate page for this introductory act, feature author, but they have embedded it in the home pages. Latest event, I don't remember if it was specified in LIDM. I think not. Okay. No, latest event was specified in LIDM. They decided not to have a separate page for latest event, but they decided to put latest event in the home page, and so in this case too, these are not transition link. These are group link. Let me write it down. Not transition links, but group links. Okay, good. And then they have landmarks on top and on the bottom. And here is the concrete counterpart. And it's unclear from this screenshot really what is the meaning and what is the relationship between this page and the page above. So this page screenshot is largely inconsistent with the previous page. So I mean, if you design something and you give the structural specification of what is in one page, in the home page, you should report a screenshot which is consistent with what you have said, you have specified in the previous page template. Particularly, it's unclear why you say view more, why it is transition link. Probably it's a must read for summer, and again it's a group. So must read for summer is okay. It's a name that it's a name for a group which is not consistent for the previous name, and for sure this is not a transition link. Similarly, it's unclear where what is this link, where does these links lead to. Okay, so the home page is tricky. It should be done at the end when you have done some practices with how to represent the pages and at two levels, at a structural level and with some content. And you must be consistent in terminology and in the design of the various elements with respect to your LIDM, and in your case with your PIDM schema, because you also have PIDM. So you need to create pages that are concrete pages that are consistent with your PIDM, and the PIDM must in turn be consistent with the LIDM. So let's move to this second example. They say they have organized the description in sections. So now let's talk about books. They also explain some mechanism that they said that they also wanted to add some search features. And then they related to books, they have books, they have pages like this one that are introductory pages. And so when they say books page in this mode, they should be more explicit. They should say this is an introductory page for group books, for a group of books. Anyway, so this is an introductory page. Again, landmark up and down, and then some notes. First of all, as mentioned here, orientation info. They said you are in section books. Okay, no need to mention home in the in orientation info. Of course, you have coming from home, and home is already accessible. So home means you are in this website, but you have already this indication that you are in this website called bookstore. Okay, so home should be removed from orientation info, ever, always. Okay, and then also I would say this is books. This could be an orientation info. Then they have a search box. They call it structural link. This should not be this is not really a structural link. This is a functional element. The functional element, you just say this is a link for searching books in the website. So all things that do not, so the issue is not that they put a search box here or a search button, is that they use the term structural link, which is not coherent with the IDM. Similarly here, they have filters. They can filter according to different parameters. Indeed, these are not structural links. These are links. So when you filter, you basically are in a big group, and you generate a subgroup. So they are all groups link. And then here are the group links. So from this page, this is a generic group page for books, for groups of books. And here they say, okay, this is a group link because by clicking here, I go to a specific link. And again, say comments as above. These are not transition links, so I'm not repeating some comment that we did before. So author, they are imaging, when did they allow the user to go directly either to a book or to the author that wrote that book? They are imagining a group made of pairs, books and authors. So these again are group links. So it's unclear what they say, group link here and transition link here. And here how they rendered graphically in their prototype their page. Here, okay, orientation info, same issue. That is also a way to provide orientation info to a visual cue. Say you are in books. This is also orientation info, books in our inventory. These are not structural links, but these are group links. Again, these are not transitions. So it's really unclear because why these are all groups link and why they become transition link. Probably what they say, the confusion here that they said, okay, an author from a book, its author is a transition link. So I mentioned that from a book, I can have a transition link to the author. But since you are really linking, you can go from here directly to an author, to a book, or directly to an author. This is a simply redundant, wrong comment. Okay. And again, also here, you should say that this is an introductory page for books. Any comments so far? Okay. I answer some comments. Even if it say view more is not a transition link. View more, it was in the home page. View more, if I'm correct, is in the home page. It's not a structurally in the sense that it's a sort of, it's an interaction element. So it has the flavor of structural link because it brings you to a portion of the home page. But since the home page is an is the highest level group, and you're where, as I mentioned many times, you're free to include any kind of comment, any kind of content that you want. This is using the standard IDM terminology for home page. It's not correct. You can say, just make a comment. This is a link, an interaction, a link that allows you to see a number of a carousel of images. So it's a piece of the home page, and that's at the structural link, but we reserve the work structural link only for topics and kind of topic, for pages related to topics and kind of topic. So in that sense, it's structural in the sense it brings you to a part of the home pages, but you do not have to use the word structural links. Another question. View more, so in that sense is an interaction element that you do not describe using IDM. You just add a comment, these links lead to a set of images, because you don't know at this stage if this set of images is something that you pop up to the user, is something that brings you to a larger page. If it is something big, this is a link to a specific topic, which can be photo gallery of some kind. So the links that connect the home to specific topic are just links that connect home to specific topic. You do not have a special name in IDM. I miss if mockup are mandatory or not. Yeah, mockups are mandatory. Depends what mockup means. We expect that you deliver at by the end of the course or at an appello date an entire prototype working with the backend and the front-end technology that we will explain. So at this stage, you can provide an intermediate deliverable in which you design the page as static things. Design with any graphical tool, which HTML if you want, but it's something that has nothing, okay, that from an implementation perspective has nothing to do with the final prototype that is going to be developed using the technology that you will learn in the next lessons. So if mockup is just graphic, can be at this stage, it is a graphic representation of what your page would look like, as no real interactivity implemented. Then, if for any reason you want to use any mockup tool that is available also for free, in which the page are really mockups, is something that is throwaway prototype. It's something that you do and then you throw away because just for design reasons, you're free to use it. But in this deliverable, you are not required to deliver any interactive mockup. Just deliver the page design as I'm explaining here. Of course, if you do not deliver your design documentation during the course, you can decide that you do your graphic design, whatever you want, then you do the implementation, and like in the case of this document, you report the screenshot from the real prototype, okay? But again, last year we did not ask to make, we did not have intermediate deliverable, so the student had to deliver everything one shot. So what they did was they reported the pages for their final prototype, running prototype, delivering this for the exam. We should write down what types of links are. Yes, you are required in the design documentation to provide commented page structures and commented not screenshot, concrete page designs, as I explained in the previous lessons. Is there an example of correct structural link? Yes, in the next pages, in some next pages. So in the structural links are only in the pages that describe topics or kind of topics. So you expect in the documentation, I switch. Okay, so I will give you an example. Just would like to answer to this question. Is our mockup, if our mockup will be quite different from the actual implementation, is it going to be a problem? I would recommend you to make the final prototype as close as possible, as similar as possible to your design specifications. And the reason why is that, in principle, the design specification that you deliver for the design part of the exam should be the specification for your final prototype. So of course you can improve them. So you will certainly improve the graphics, the layout, but I would recommend you to, okay, the layout. No, the layout, I'm not evaluating your the design here. I'm not evaluating here in this document, in the document similar to this one I'm discussing. I'm not going to evaluate the aesthetic quality of your layout. I want to be sure that you specified in these pages all the needed elements. No matter if this element will be aggregated, will be presented in different way in the two-dimensional space of the real screen, but I would like that you use them as much as possible as specification for your implementation. So then the layout, the colors, the fonts, the arrangement of elements in the screen can be different. I won't check them, but I would expect that they are consistent with the design specification that you are delivering in this document. That said, if you want to change something, you are allowed to do so, but in a sense that is not the right process. So in that respect, when I will, because I will analyze, I will evaluate the overall quality of the user experience with your prototype after you deliver the prototype. So if you remember, if you go back to the, let me just check. In the introduction to the course, I would like just to show you that I mentioned here at some point, what are my evaluation criteria? Evaluation criteria. Okay. No, I didn't include them. Sorry. Okay. Yes, the evaluation criteria is for your. So I will here evaluate the completeness and the correctness of the design. Then when you will deliver the prototype, I will also evaluate the user experience design quality. So all the aspects that are really related to the usability of your website. And also in part, I will clearly consider as positive if you make a nice graphical layout. Of course, I expect that in a group, in a project group, there is a designer. I expect a higher level of aesthetic and layout quality with respect to what engineers, a group of engineers only will deliver. But then, again, the main criteria will be usability and consistency with the design documentation. So when you will deliver your prototype, I will go back group by group for their design documentation, and I will see if your prototype is consistent in terms of content, links, and page design at a conceptual level between the prototype and your documentation. Okay, so don't struggle here in this phase of your design. Don't struggle about the quality of the layout. Decide what should be in a page, because that is the specification for you to implement the real website. So we can put simply wireframe schematic layout, we delivered document in April. Yes, we can put wireframe schematic layout. I mean, there was a lesson last week about exactly about this. Wireframe with real content, schematic. So you have a schematic. So what you see in this document is the following. This is my structure. So this is a sort of schematic. What in the previous in the chat comment question was schematic layout. This is a schematic layout. Wrong, but so let me take another one. So okay, look at this one. This is the page for a book. Okay, this is what I would say. Okay, that is the page design in the small. Okay, so I give you the components. What are the elements? And then I expect, with the various comments, then I expect you to do something like this. Now we will then discuss about the comments, in which you put examples of real contents, in which you start choosing the labels where the elements are related. I don't really care if in the final prototype, the picture will be this side, the description has this font, the title is this font, if you put indeed related book here or maybe here. As far as in your final prototype, I find something which is consistent with your design specification in terms of what are the elements on the page. No matter how these elements are laid down on the screen, no matter what are their visual properties. So I expect that this in your design documentation is consistent with this, in which you just put example of contents. And then I expect that when you provide the final prototype, you are consistent in terms of the functional element, and the components that appear here also appear in your prototype. So there are multiple level of consistency between C and LIDM, between LIDM and page design, and PIDM, between PIDM and your pages, your page structures, between page structures here and concrete example of pages, and between concrete example of pages and the final pages of your prototype, but not in terms of the concrete layout properties. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is that you really go step by step, and you reason and you learn that you have to, as a designer or as a developer, you have to be critical and conscious of each of your design choice, and each step is consistent with the previous step or involves a revision of some previous step, so that at the end everything is really well thought and well conceptualized, and you follow a reasoning and a process of development which is coherent, that hopefully should lead. I mean, the assumption here that you will have a more usable, more effective, more complete, and more consistent website. Okay. Okay. In the meantime, if you have other questions, then okay, I will jump. We have time to jump on the question. So in the meantime, you can fill this online document. Okay, let's proceed with the analysis of this document with the good and the bad. By the way, the student got a very high score, so now I'm really looking at all the details as an exercise for you to understand the potential mistake that you should do and you should try to avoid. So look at this page. It's a page. No, we were, sorry, it was a jump. We need to go back here. No, yes, we did. Okay, this is an introductory page. So you should say this is an introductory page. So be explicit which page. Okay, it's about book, but which page is this? Introductory page. And then you have the page about a specific topic, book. And what do they put in the book? They said orientation info. Again, okay, some mistakes occur are repeated. I'm not going to highlight them in each page. This is a book. This is author name rating. Okay, you are in a book, so you have a transition link to the author. Okay, this is correct. It is a transition link. Maybe one may ask, okay, may ask why also I have an author here. Okay, but let's move. Then you have a book cover, description, and here you have what they call functional link. So this student invented the name functional link. It's okay. You can invent translation. Okay, it's certainly a link for an operation. So this is a link for an operation, which is adding, creating your shopping bag. The mistake here that was confusing to me is that, okay, add to cart button is a functional link, paper price, ebook price, they are not links. So what about this? So don't add arrows in a random way. I mean, the functional link is this, ebook price are just the content, pieces of content. And then there are the book details. So they say that the book is in English, has a number of pages, support is unclear what it is, there is a review, and then they say transition link to gender and themes. This is not a transition link, this is a group link. Go up, go back to the LIDM and say, okay, but I mean, a book belongs to a given gender, or genre, or a given theme. So when from a book I go to the list of all books of the same genre, or to the book of the same theme, this is a group link. This is not a transition link. So back. Okay. Okay, we are here. So this is not a transition link. This is a book link. Event interview. Okay, finally the example of structural link. In the representation of the in the structure that they gave to book, a book is made by details. I have it in front of me, so printed. A book is made of details, reviews, and interviews. So they decided to embed the reviews inside here. So that should be coherent with page design. So in your page design, you must say that you embed the book details with the review, and they want to make a separate page for interview. And this is a structural link because these links allows, as it is described here, is a link that brings you to the complete interview for that specific to an interview to the interview of the author of this book. So it's a link. No, that is a mistake indeed. It's not a structural link. Sorry. But I thought it was in a. I thought it was in an author. This is a transition link because the interview is not about the book, it's about the author. So through this link, they go directly to the interview of the author. So they move to the author and to the interview. The real structural link, so let me just repeat that this is not structural link. This is a transition link because they're going to the interview about, so this interview is a structural link. Well, this is ambiguous, and that is an example in which you must have the LIDM in mind, because look up at the schema. Okay. In the schema, they said the book. No, they're correct. No, sorry. Okay. The book has an interview about the book, and has an event about the book. So the structural link is to interview. This transition link is to event. So let me just go down what they said. Well, by the way, you understand that correcting all your design documentation takes quite a lot of time because I'm checking all these details. Okay, so so interview is a structural link. Event is a transition link because according to this schema, interview is part of the book, but event is not part of the book, is a separate things. And in fact, the confusion here that they call transition link to event here. So event is basically a mistake because here they corrected their position and said event is a transition link. Here by the way, they want to make a short preview of the event, apparently, for what you understand from here. They want to give a longer presentation of the event here. So it's unclear. And also this is unclear. What does structuring and pages mean? So what is, so when you make a diagram, the concept that when you make a diagram, you should add only the minimum information that are needed. So this is totally something that we don't understand why it's here. I just add another comment. Okay, so what is this? Unclear. And apparently they have embedded the event about the book inside the book page. So they made a sort of merge. They put together, they made a merge in this diagram. They made inside the book, they wrote down something about the event. And then they also made a separate pages for the event. So it seems a bit inconsistent or unclear with respect to the LIDM. Still, let's try to interpret it together. Going book. So we probably expect that this description, which is 300 characters, somehow long, is a preview. So it's the overall placeholder for the transition link to the event. So structure link is to interview, event is probably a transition link, and this event description, maximum 300 characters, is the preview for clicking and going to the event. Then there is a section related group, and this is another mistake. Again, we don't understand what price is a group link. Related book, these are, okay, it depends what you mean by related book. It can be, and so we need again to go up to the diagram. And in this diagram, you see that there was, and it was required in the specification given to the student, that book have a semantic relation with similar book. So this is a relevant relationship. If this is a relevant relationship, related books, this is what? This is a transition link. This is a transition link, related book, because in the diagram, I said I have a relevant relationship between a book and the related book. So they are not group links, they are transition links. And also, why do I need a transition link to an author? I mean, I have already, okay, the author of the book is this one. If I wanted to connect both the book and the author of the book, this is not a transition link, you're still moving better. This is a transition link, but why do you want to add a link to the book, to the author of the related book? This is inconsistent with this specification again, where this link, the book is related to other book, is related to authors, but only to the author that has written the book, not to the author who have written related book. So why should we add this link? This link to the author of this book. It's just adding navigation path. First of all, is inconsistent with the LIDM schema. In your case, it would be inconsistent with the PIDM schema. Second, why should I add all this proliferation of links? Why would the author, the user be interested to see to go directly from this book to the author of a related book? You go to the book and then from there to the author. If you think that it's really important that from a book you go to the author of related book, then you should add it to the LIDM specification. So in this case, links to authors should not be included. They are inconsistent with IDM. Okay. And again, price is not clear why title, what price is here. So it's really a preview, and it's really, again, it's a group link repeated here in many. So this is an example of a confused page structure. When you go to the screenshot, where things goes a little better. Okay. This is a transitioning landmark. You see the home. Again, it's not really relevant. Here they say we are in books. The Lord of the King. But why do you add in the orientation links also the title? The title is here. No need for a redundant information, the orientation info. You are in page description. Here is the function link. Here is more clear. They say, indeed, the function link is only this one, because I expect that these are not links. These are just text that you put it here with the title, with the price of the paper and the ebook version. Here are further details. A component, they have put together a component which was detailed in the presentation of the book. These are not transition linked to the themes or the genres. These are group link, because you go to the group of links of the same with the same theme or genre. Events, okay, interview is, by the way, it's a bit confused, but they have put the interview page inside here. And in that respect, it's unclear why they put one. When I click here, I mean, I'm probably here in the first page. What happens when I click here on 2? Where do I go? Is a structure link? Well, maybe, but where that? It's unclear where this link takes me. Read more. These are transition links, and that is why I have 2 pages here, and the structure link to where, to which component of the book. Well, these are structural link, transition link to the detail of the event. So if this link takes me to the specific event, it's a transition link. And here is these are group links. Okay, so they're somehow correcting a bit what the specification that they did. It's unclear why this is a book and why this is a book. So when you put arrows, it's not just for decoration purposes. Arrow mean that you have multiple 1, 2, 3, 4 items to interact. Indeed, I expect that you interact on all these elements on this area, no matter if you interact here or here or here and here, and then I click and go. So when you make comments, you don't need to make this graphical decoration. They are just confusing and suggest that there are 2 different kinds of links. They're the same link, these are group links. Well, still they say, okay, I want to make a teeny transition link here to go to the author. Say comments above. From a usability perspective, when the user click here, go to a book. When the user click here, go again to the same book. And then he has to click in between to go to the author. So there is a usability problem in general, because I mean, they are separating. You have group link in the middle, another link, and so it's, by the way, it's also not simple to click in between. Second, from a IDM design perspective, this is not a transition link. So sorry. This is not a group link because you are implementing the relationship related work, the relevant relations related work. And in that respect, these are all transition link, and the link to the specific author is not something that is required, that is specified in LIDM. Okay, let me see if there are questions at this point. Okay, if I move from this book page to a genre page of this book, fantasy page. Is that a transition link? Okay. Okay. It depends on what you have modeled in IDM. If in IDM you have model, you have genre as a kind of topic where you describe in detail what fantasy book means, what history book means. That would be a transition link. But in our case, look at the schema. In our case, we have genre and theme as groups. So when you are in a book and you move to a page that describe a genre and the books of that genre, you are traversing a group links. In a different design in which you have books, in which you have genre as a separate topic, kind of topic, you have a lot of information about a specific theme or specific genre. In that case, moving from a book to the page describing that genre only, not the list of books of that genre, that would be a transition link. But with this diagram, with these assumptions, these are assumptions and constraints for your design, a concrete design of the real pages. You're moving from a book to a page that represents this one. Okay, again, this is they didn't do any page design, but when you make page design, it will be clear that you're moving from an introductory page of all books of a given genre, from a book to an introductory page of all group of a given genre. So in that respect, given this design, the design specified in LIDM, this one we were discussing about going to fantasy or going to another, because in some cases, by the way, the same book can belong to different genres, fantasy and friendship, love, violence, something else. Okay, so these are groups link. Similarly, these are all transition links to related book. These are not group links. Okay, now let me just make it explicit so you don't have a problem when you will read this document. So these are not group links. Here we are. And also, sorry. The link to each author of a related book is not included, is not consistent with IDM specifications. Okay. Okay. Other question on this part? So I hope that you have clarified. Okay, great. Let's go. So let's do this exercise so you understand how I evaluate your design and what are your mistakes, your potential mistakes to avoid. Let's go to the author. We are in an author. Okay, section author in this document. Say, okay, now I describe all pages that are related to author. Which pages are this? Let's go up again to our design. Okay, about the author, this is very simple. What do we have to describe? A page about the specific author, very simple, just with biography, and a page about all authors, introductory page. And here we are. So we expect to have 2 pages. Okay, this is an introductory page you should say introductory page here. Of all authors. Well, the orientation info again, home is redundant. Okay, here you can say section authors, and good. These are group link to, well, that was a very simple group, all authors. So you have a single preview for all authors. I would add here, let me just add this comment. It would be nice here to have not just the image to preview the author, but also include at least author name. Okay, because I mean, with the picture is not enough. So in this preview, you should say author name, author image, author name at least. And this part with search box, structure in page, that is totally something that does not is not. It's unclear what it is. So what is this? If you put something, you should provide explanation to what you put. Okay. And let's see how it's rendered. In fact, okay, now you understand because why they put the image without the name, because they put the name embedded in the as part of the picture, which is okay, but definitively in this page you should give me the specifications. You should not have taken the decision here that you want to put the name of the author inside the image. So anyway, these are group links. This is the search. Search is not a structural link. These are all group links. This why? Because you said, okay, I show you all authors. By the way, you might put all authors in our inventory. It's okay, but these are group links because I've somehow decided I'm moving from within the group. So I've decided that I have too many authors to show them in one page. So I've decided to group them by to put at most in this case it's six authors in each single page. So these are links that allows me to move within within subgroups. So this means that when you read that, here we come with the issue of cardinality. You should have a clear idea of the cardinality. How many authors do I have in my website, in my collection, in my shop? If there are many authors, so that all of them do not fit in one page, you might consider, which is not your case. Your case is the case of your project is different. You have little cardinality, but here, in which, by the way, cardinality are missing. If they had out the cardinality, they would say that they could have something about all authors and authors in a small alphabetical group. So they should add some multiple group in which they say authors group by letter A, C, A, G, I, L, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if the authors are, let me just remember that the cardinality are missing. Okay, when you don't have an idea of the cardinality, if you had an idea of the cardinality, because the cardinality is just n, are missing the sense that they didn't make an estimate of how many. So if the specification is all authors, they should have a single page in which all authors appear. If they decided, if they mean the designer, decided to split by, I don't know which criteria, because here is not even a criteria, an alphabetic criterion, it's just you have F, C, R, T, then you should specify it in LIDM. So these are not structured, these are group links within subgroups of the big higher level group of authors. Search is also structured in because it's a by the way, I assume that you are searching authors. It's unclear why. So when you put a search, it should be clear what you are searching. You are allowed to search for. Anyway, search is a structural link because it's a structural link. It's something which is not more than an ADM. But in principle, it allows you to go to a group. Okay, but so either this is a group link or you just it's rather clear. Not rather, it's quite clear that what a search means. You should just specify. But you have to specify what you are searching for. You are searching for authors. You're searching for books for authors. So designing a search is not enough to say search. Reason about what you are searching for. Otherwise, don't include search. We know that is implementable. Okay, so that is for the group of all authors. And let's go to the author page. Okay. You are in authors. I insist that you must have orientation info, but orientation info should be, should have a meaning. I mean, so if I put and should not add the redundant information. Okay, I can add. Anyway, so the only relevant orientation info here is authors. Author name is already here. Okay. And here you have the component description of the biography, big author image, and then, finally, here we have a link that is correct. Transition link to the book that he has written. Do you remember? A book is related to the books that he has written. So this is really a transition link. Okay. Structural link pages, what do they mean with this? It's totally unclear. Then a group link and transition link. Why do I have to put a transition link? It's unclear to put a transition link to title, price, to author. Why this is a group link? I mean, of course, these are all books of the same author. Why should I add author? Okay, title and prices, it's okay. It's part of the preview of the link, of the description of the link, and the item which is connected through this link. But enough here to say transition link, full stop. And these are the way you preview the links. Now let's see how the implementation comes out. Okay. Okay. So landmarks, orientation info, description. Okay, transition links. And why these are group links? I mean, you are in Tolkien, of course. These are all books by Tolkien. And why these are links? What is the structural link? Link to where? If you go up, the author has just in your. You do not expect to have any transition link in the author, because the author is just one spot. It's just made of one piece, biography. So there will be no transition links here. Okay, so you can continue with this exercise. There are some comments also in events, but I think here I wrote similar comments apply here. So the last comment I would like to do on this project is the following. It's about how to represent the. So you may have some fun in finding other inconsistency, and if you want, in the future question and answer session, we can comment together the other part of this document. Which again, I mean, they did a very good job for other parts of this course. They made a very nice prototype, but there were these inconsistencies. Okay. I want to discuss the entity relationship diagram. No, the logical design is wrong. Okay, here you see, okay, the basic idea. Remember, we're talking about books, events. Books are classified by gender and by theme. then we have the author, then we have reviews. Here is a proposal, not necessarily fully correct. There are a number of considerations that can be done here, which describes the content in the small. It's important to notice that a typical mistake that people do when they describe event in LIDM, they put date as dialogue act. So let's go up again. Sorry for this flickering. Okay, in the event we have details, location, and description. We don't have to put the date here. And a typical mistake that many students do is they put date here in the event as dialogue act. Date is a small fragment of information that should be mentioned in the small, in the entity relationship. Okay, so here you look at your, you start from your LIDM and you mention all the pieces, all the fragments of information that you want to put, that you want to use to describe those topic, those kind of topic of those relationship. So this is the database that you will put in the back end. This is the initial conceptual design of the portion of the database that you put in your back end. It's a portion because your database, you will see, it will contain also additional information, but that is the core content that you need to have. So for an event, the book, the name, the date, the time, the location, the city, short description. By the way, look at here. We're not saying that date is of type date, or description is at most 30 characters or 30 words, whatever. We're just listing the attributes. Okay, in this case, the attributes are listed inside. With other notation, they can be listed outside. So the key idea is the following. I mentioned the main entities in my database, not the main entities in the necessary, not the same, exactly the same, the one that you describe in LIDM. You list all the attributes and you list the content that you need. By the way, as you can see here, they have added additional element, functional elements such as the cart. They call it, well, we can't, it's a technical detail in database design. They also have mentioned the user because in a sense, no, not in a sense, each cart belongs to a specific user. So they have started adding here the notion of cart, which was not necessary to be included in IDM. And the fact that they need to have different views of the content about cards for each specific user. So that is a part that could be omitted or could be added. But if you add also the card, you should say that the user has that specific card, because each user has a specific view of the application, because each user views his or her own card. Okay, so this is the entity relationship representation. In which, by the way, they put also the ID. And this is one way to represent the tables. I mean, the logical design are the actual tables. So in which you specify, basically, you specify the field, the type for each attribute. This logical design is wrong. It's wrong because okay, no, it's not. No, it's not wrong. It's almost correct. There are some minor details that I will add a specific comment on. You see, the general rule is the following: each entity, such as event, book, author. Let's focus on here: event, book, and author. Each entity goes into a table: event, book, and author. Relationship. Okay, each of them are tables. Okay, matrix, tables in the relation sense. And then you have, so you have a table for each entity of the entity relationship, and you also have tables for relationship. So you have for sure each author can, since the relationship book's author is a many-to-many relationship. Book can have many author, an author can have many book. You have a separate table which represents the relationship book author. Look, book author N to N, and here they have also specific cardinality. So for sure, this becomes a table. They have decided since event is big, then I will have a relationship also here for, okay. They have, and that is a piece of mistake, that it's unclear how do I relate the book of the event. Similar book is a many-to-many relationship. It becomes a separate table. Review, since each book has many reviews, but a review is for a specific view, in the table of review, the ED of the book has been added. If you look at here, okay, that is the mistake that I've seen. Okay, ED book should not be here because it's in the link. Okay, that is a mistake. I remember that there was a mistake here. The reason why ED of the book should not be here is that I know already that this review is associated to a book. You have already the relationship. You should not add the ED of the book here. Similarly, you should not, that was the mistake, should not add the ED of the book here, because there is the relationship that represents who is connected to what. So in the entity relationship diagram, the attribute do not include those of the related entities. They must be included only in the relational tables. Otherwise, this is a stupid mapping. You're just reporting the same attribute as above, adding the types. An entity relationship is more concise than a table, than a logical representation, a table-based representation. So this should not be here. And the idea of the book should not be here. And let's see if there are other mistakes. Look, here it's correct. The book and the idea of the author is not here, is in the relationship. The card should not contain the idea of the book because it is in the relationship. And sorry, the idea of the book should not be here. Let me see if there are other mistakes. Gender, okay. Here you see they didn't put the ID of the book because there are several group books that have the same gender. Anyway, so in general, if you do it correctly, you do not have to put the ID of the related items because it is in the related entities, because it is described in the relationship, and the entity relationship model is minimal with respect to this, to the representation. And you have to map it into tables. These lines are just to say that, okay, in the event, so these are, I mean, what you will implement are this table, you're not implementing these arrows. These arrows are just a visual notation to say, okay, the idea of the book has helped me to make the join with the book for which I am an event. Okay, so let me go to question. The number one in the author page is I think was taught. Okay, the number one in the author page, I think, was thought if more books of author were collected. In that case, the number to change the view. Okay. I don't understand the question. The number one in the author page, I think, was thought if more books of that author were collected. In that case, the number to change the view, the written. Okay, let me try to go to the book page. So maybe Pietro, if you could, I go back to that page. If you could explain us your question by voice, that would help.
Yes. In this page, the structural link with the number one, with the arrow to the number one. It's not a structural link, but it's a group link, because if I want to change the view of the written books, maybe because I have too much books to be represented in one row, and so I have more numbers to indicate the other pages for represent the written books. That is a group links.
Well, it's hard to say. Okay, for sure it's not a group link, because you don't have the group of books. You don't have as a group the set of group written by an author. So if you had created a new group, say I want to have groups, new groups grouped by author as a top level group, not as a relationship, then that could be a group link, and also this would be a group link. So I go to the group, to the links to a new group. But in this case, in this specific case, if I had many groups, many books of the same author, either you put, because this is a transition page. This is a transition act. I am in the author, and I see all the author written by this. So I am moving. It's a transition to the books. So they are embedding here the page of the author and the topic page of the author and the transition page of the about his book. Okay, so in general, this should be, if this does not make much sense as a design decision to if you have a long list of books for the author, you just make a separate page. If you want to embed it here, embed it here. I mean, it would be a long list, or make it separate. So this link, in my opinion, this link does not make any sense here, because I have a kind of topic which is very simple, just the biography. I can have a long list of books, but then I list all of them here. And if this link takes me to a different page, it's much better than I make a separate page with small icons of the small icon or less information about each book. So to me, it does not make any sense. And does not make any sense to say these links lead to other written book by Tolkien. Okay, there are many books by Tolkien. Okay, make a separate page in which you have all his or her book, his book. Okay, I don't know if that answers your question. Is that okay?
Yeah, I wrote on the chat. Okay. Yeah, it's clear. I wanted only to understand how can I classify that kind of link once I notice them, because it's not a structural link, it's not a group link. Then I am agree with you that it's useless in the context.
It's just a useless link. That is my point. Is that a useless link if you have many things, or if you have to think a different solution? But that is, I pinpointed how important it is to plan the cardinality. Okay, because it's not something that, in general, I mean, what is the minimum number of books you have for each author? What is the maximum number you have? And then you design also cardinality driven. Okay. Okay, in the entity relation diagram, in the card entities, also the ED user shouldn't be there. Okay, let me just check. Probably yes. I admit that I didn't check because last year I have tons of projects to evaluate. I had something like 300 students because there were also the bachelor students. I admit that I might have missed some comments. So I've revised this document today to add for comments, and something I might have not noticed. So you say ID of the user. Yes, good. ID of the book should not be here. And ID of the user should not be here. Yes. Good comment, thank you. Sure. Not here. ID book and ID user should not be here. Should not be here. Thank you. Okay, other comments on this part? Okay, great. So let me just switch on and see which question we have here. Not many, so we have time to discuss. So, is it possible to swap the cardinality of relationship right now? Service event 0 or 1 event service 0 n. I like to have service event 0 n each service, which means if Eleonora is online, could you please, I mean, maybe comment. So you say that you would like to have sorry, you would like to have the one service associated to 0 several event, and one event is associated to 0 1 service. I try to simplify things here. For me, an event can, in an event you can present multiple services. That's why I put N here. It's up, okay, you are allowed as far as you make it explicit. The same service in more than one event.
Like,
but
for example, we would like.
No, sorry, I cannot hear. Eleonora?
We would like to have the same activity in more than one event, but in event service event 01 we cannot do it. So we would like N, so we can have the service in more than one event.
You want to have the same service in more than one event, and that's okay. But you want that each event is about one service only?
So we can have like 0n, 0n in both. Is it a problem?
Yeah, you can say, I mean, maybe that makes more sense. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so that is, so let me just, let me say yes. Okay, so, and okay, you can refer to this specification, it's okay. Maybe just add me a note, little note in your documentation, say, okay, we have revised the cardinality. Then, for the reason that I explained today, please quantify this N, okay? When I write N, it means that you are allowed to have up to N, either 0 or up to, or more, it's 0 or more. Please quantify this more. When you are at least when you go to page design, you need to quantify things. And also, I mean, when you move from C to L, you should be able to quantify, because then you can organize things in group. And remember, what I gave in that document are minimal specification. If you want to refine the specification and have more groups, other things, especially because I know that some of you are involved in the development of real website about voluntary associations, particularly in this moment. So they say that I'm creating the website for my association now. Can I use this case? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You know, what your association may want might be more complex or simpler than my specification. So maybe what you develop for the purpose of the exam can be slightly different from the real website that you deliver. For sure, if you want to add more contents, more topics or kind of topics, more groups, because you feel that these are requirements that are important for your specific case, you are allowed to do so. I'm just saying that your website must contain at least these elements that I specified, that I'm not forcing all people to extend, to make the extension. You will not be evaluated on the quantity. You will be evaluated on satisfying the minimum requirements in terms of conceptual design given by us, by me, and the quality of the process and the quality of your structure and the consistency of your structure. Okay. Okay, that if second, Elena and Marta, if we want to have a link, just zoom it. Zoom. Oh, I don't know how to zoom. I'm trying to zoom this page, but don't remember how to do it from here. Okay, I hope that you can see. Okay. If we wanted to have a link from our voluntary association introduction page to all services, is it possible? Which probably the second question is a refinement, because, okay, all services, by the way, let me say something. Maybe, I don't know if Elena and Marta are online, so if you want, you can take a turn and make a comment. For me, I suspect that all services are landmarks, so you don't need to add any specific link. Still, so in this specific case, I think it is possible for the reason that I will explain answer to this question. I think that in these specific cases, you do not need it because all services, I expect, they are landmarks. In any case, can we have a relationship between a topic and the group? The answer is yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, but I would model all services as landmark. Okay. Can we have a relationship? So I write my question in right. Okay. Okay. Can we have a relation between a topic and a group? Yes. And the question, and then would it better to have something like this at the PDM level? The answer is it's not an or, it's a yes, in the sense that you have to make this link explicit in your IDM schema. Okay. So the idea is that, okay, you want to make a link between a topic and a group. Remember that the PIDM schema is the place where all links are there, explicitly drawn as lines or represented as pattern. So in the PIDM schema, there must be a link between your topic. Have to draw an arrow between the topic and the page for the topic and the introductory. Okay. Okay. Is that clear? Elena and Marta, please.
Yes, it's me. Would we model the relationship like with a line, with an arrow, like for the between topic and topic?
No, just an arrow with how do I say? An arrow like the other links. Link, okay. An arrow. I'll go from between an arrow. Let me say from the page of the topic and the introductory page for the group. Okay, it's just in PIDM. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good. Pietro and friends, in the specification it's good that the group all events is a group where all of its members are the group event by months. Okay. But it will not contain all the event. I have sort of copy. Okay. Okay, the idea is the following. I don't want to have the huge list of events. I want to have events grouped by month. And then I want to have a group which groups these groups. So I have, imagine you have one box where you put the events of a given month, and another box for another month, and so on and so forth. Then you have a bigger box in which you put all these boxes. So all events is the big box. The groups, the events of a given month are the small box. So it's called all events. You can say that the name, you can find a better name. But the idea that if you want to see all events, you go there. And you go there, you're not seeing all the events in one shot. You see them splitted by month. So conceptually, if your cognitive goal is, where are all the events? You go there. Okay, our design choice is that you see all the events grouped by month. So you choose the event of March, February, so on. If you think that for the user is important to see a list of all events, not splitted by months, you can add this list. You say all events, so you call it all events by months. So, and then all events by a given month. And then you say all events, maybe of the year, probably, because don't think that you keep the archive of all events. Okay, so I hope that is Pietro, Francesco, and Antoine is that answer your question?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So I will report this question in the FAQ. You remember we have a FAQ here, so you can find other questions also that I received by email. Tomorrow, important. Tomorrow there will not be a session of question answering, and the reason why that considering the current situation, we had to reschedule the course a bit. So tomorrow you will start with front-end technology, not as question answer as scheduled. Okay, there will be a separate session answer on Friday for those of you who want to have another session like this one. Okay, so I just had a note, and we'll send you a message on Beep. Okay. What type you can use to draw the graph? There are many examples. Okay, maybe you can share it on the forum. I suggested one, which is a superset, the one that I mentioned. I posted in document material and also in exam all the PowerPoint diagrams or PDM, and then also I suggested one tool that you can use. It's a Lucid something. Look. Go there, go in the material, you will find it. The date of the course will still be the same. The date of the course will be the same, yes. Will be the same. We just have decided to start immediately tomorrow with front end for a number of reasons, because basically we had included one lesson on 29th of April, because it was unsure that we would have done Laurea, but that the Laurea exam is confirmed, all teachers are involved, and so on Laurea day exams, lessons are suspended. Okay, I will post the new calendar, the new schedule. I will post this document discussed today, and I will post a note for remembering you. Okay, but we'll post many things. A note for remembering you that tomorrow is front end, and I will let you know the detail for next week tutoring. The next week tutoring will be done group by group. It will be an individual tutoring. On Friday, I'm available for any further question. Okay. Some question that I didn't answer. Oh God, which one? Okay, I can stay a bit to see which answer I didn't understand about the topic. Okay, I will. Yes, Julia, I had an emergency here at the. So I will reply. Okay, Julia will reply on the FAQ or separately. There are some questions you didn't answer, Professor, in the chat. Oh God. In the chat. Oh gosh, sorry. Guys, let's say that since you probably have to go to another lecture, I will stop the registration here. I will go and go question by question here, and I will answer in the FAQ. Okay, so I will answer textually in the FAQ. Okay. Otherwise, because we are being asked to stop at. So I will answer here. I will answer in this file. Okay, so this is the file where I will answer, including the specific question, if they're not private, that I've received by email. Okay. Okay, so I will stop the recording and have a nice day. Ciao.